Welcome to the latest Motley Fool Scoreboard. I'm Anand Chokkavelu, and we've got longtime fools Jim Gillies and Dan Caplinger giving a 1 to 10 rating to nuclear stock BWX Technologies, ticker symbol BWXT. Talk about the business first, including factors like industry and competition. It's a hot industry. 10 is invincible, a 1 is hopeless. Dan's at an 8, and Jim, you're also at an 8.
Yeah, I mean, I call this kind of a picks and shovels play for the power growth that society needs, or at least demands, related to things like AI, crypto, data centers, et cetera, ad nauseum. Nuclear is now considered green, or at least green-ish, as the waste from such is perceived as a smaller and more of a long-term problem than the comparatively shorter term, more immediate problem that comes from climate change, so in burning fossil fuels. And so BWXT is kind of a right place at the right time company, at least in my world. And my favorite kind of understanding of this company comes from my Fool Canada colleague, Nick Seipel, who quips that this company is or has the ability to, quote, convert favorable nuclear policy into earnings growth, end quote. I don't know that we appreciate favorable policy as a tailwind as much as we probably should. So that's kind of where my 8 comes from.
Yeah, that's what strikes me about this company too. Extremely timely now as electricity demand from data centers, other sources, just through the roof. But yeah, it's a huge contrast from where we were just 10 years ago. I guess memories are short after all those meltdown events, huh?
Memories are long until you really need the power, and then they become short, right? For management, a 10 is Warren Buffett, a 1 is Homer Simpson. Both of you are in lockstep, Jim, at 7s.
Yeah, I mean, I call this what I like to call this as a perfectly acceptable professional management team with some decent tenure. I would guess they don't have a lot of bench strength, at least in the C-suite. I base that on most of the executive tenures are less than 10 years, and their prior experience is not at this company. So they bring in a lot of people. They've maybe got relevant experience from other places, but they didn't kind of grow up at BWXT. I think the stock price, or at least the recent success and appreciation of the stock price, is more about the favorable environment that we've talked about. And in such cases, it's management job basically ride that and don't mess it up. And I think they're doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Rex Gevin's done a good job of not messing things up in 8 years as the CEO. Previous experience, both in the public sector at NASA and in the private sector at Teledyne, I think informs the experience somewhat. And yeah, definitely taking advantage of the recent surge in interest in nuclear given electricity demand.
For financials, a 10 is a fortress, a 1 is yikes. Dan's got a 7, so do you, Jim.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping we're going to do some companies that qualify as a yikes in the future, but that's not BWXT. The financials here, very good. A little more debt than I'd probably prefer. A lot of that, though, is tied to a recent acquisition called Kinetics, which is made for that company's, quote, life cycle management services in the nuclear generation, transmission, and distribution market, as well as they offer some radioisotopes for the nuclear medicine space. I'd probably prefer, if I could, put a wish out there, I'd like them to prioritize debt repayment in the next few quarters near term, rather than returning to buybacks, which they have done in the past. But, overall, it's a pretty nice package.
Yeah, I like the steady sales growth. I like the profitability. I will note, to Jim's point, BWX was buying back shares at a more substantial clip until recently. The share price has gone up. Those buybacks have come in a little bit. I share his view. If they will start putting some of that money towards debt repayment, strengthen the balance sheet, I think it'd be a good move.
Stock valuation, Dan. How well will BWX's stock do over the next 5 years? And how safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
I'm going 5 to 10% with a safety score of 6. There was a time when this company would sport PEDs below 20. But those days are gone. The current valuation, it prices in faster growth that's likely to come from electricity demand. I think that's possible and even likely. It's not certain, though. We've seen sort of a hockey stick move in AI demand. If that were to end early, then I think that's where BWXT could be collateral damage. But I put the odds of that as being pretty low at this point.
Yeah, I'm also in the 5 to 10% range from here for kind of rich stock returns from now. My safety score is slightly higher at 7. but beyond that, I'm just going to point to what Dan said and say I have nothing further to add.
Thank you to Jim and to Dan. They've given BWX Technologies a decent overall score of 6.7 out of 10. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Aratamed. Till then, Fool on. I'm like, what was my bike called? Oh yeah, BMX. Okay.
BWX is the old Babcock and Wilcox, which has been in Cambridge, Ontario forever and ever and ever. Amen. But they rebranded, and now they're hip and sexy.